The second deadly psychological sin is complaining. Know anything about that? I believe that complaining is based on a sense of entitlement. We're kind of outraged customers that feel that we deserve better. And so at the foundation of complaining is this what we call entitlement mentality, and of course that needs to be dealt with. But complaining in and of itself causes a whole plethora of problems. First of all, every time you complain, you reinforce those negative thoughts. So what happens is with each complaint, that problem gets a little bit bigger in your field of vision. And pretty soon, all that fills your field of vision is all of this negativity. As a result, a person develops what we call low frustration tolerance. Think of it in the sense of they're carrying around a very full glass of water. All these negative things are right up to the brim, and the slightest extra drop causes the water to overflow. If you keep focusing on the negative, you'll end up in that situation where you have a very low tolerance for anything aggravating. Let's face it, in reality, there are positives. Life isn't all bad. It's not all good, it's not all bad. We have a choice as to what we're going to focus on. Story is told of a cowboy. Cowboy was driving down the road. He had his dog in the back of his truck, and he had a trailer behind the truck pulling his horse. There was a terrible accident. The vehicles were strewn all over the road. A policeman came upon the scene. The policeman first came to the dog. He realized the dog was not going to make it, so he shot the dog. Then he came upon the horse, and he realized the horse wasn't going to make it, so he shot the horse. Then he found the cowboy. He'd been thrown out of the vehicle into a field, and he was lying there watching the policeman shoot his animals. The policeman came to him and looked down at him and said, "How are you doing?" And the cowboy said, "I've never felt better." When we complain, there's a certain amount of payoff. You know, Dr. Phil says, what's the payoff? That means that we're getting something out of what we're doing. In fact, we have an expression in behavioral psychology that goes like this. It says, all behavior is operative, meaning that in everything that we do, we're either trying to get something or we're trying to avoid something. In either case, achieve something. We're getting something out of it. So even when we engage in a negative behavior that ultimately hurts us, there is a temporary, at least, payoff in that behavior. So normally people really kind of, on some level, enjoy complaining. It makes them feel maybe a little righteous. But in the cowboy's case, the payoff for complaining was really bad, and the payoff for not complaining was quite high, so he didn't complain. The replacement for complaining is gratitude. When we realize we really don't deserve the blessings that fall all around us and upon us every day of our lives, we start to feel grateful. I prescribe gratitude to people that are negatively focused, clients that have been so consumed with negativity and complaining that they've made themselves depressed. I prescribe it like a pill. I say, this is what you have to do. You have to practice this morning and evening. I tell them they must go home and they must think of 3 things for which they are grateful every evening and share it with another person. And then the following morning when they arise, think of 3 things for which they are grateful and share it with another person. It's amazing how difficult this is for some people. Sometimes in the middle of a counseling session, I'll say, are you grateful for anything? And they'll try to think of something, and then I'll pressure them a little, and they'll try to think of something, and maybe they'll think of one little thing. Then they'll go right back to their negative thinking. And finally, I'll say to them, the real problem here is not all the problems in your life. The problem here is that you're focused on those problems. Let's work on changing your focus. I want to tell you about a study that showed the effect of gratitude. It was performed on undergraduate students over a 10-week period of time. The undergrads were split into 3 groups. They completed a weekly log of their emotions. 1/3 were to write about 5 impacting events. 1/3 were to write about 5 hassles, and 1/3 were to write 5 things for which they were grateful. Then they wanted to measure how these different focuses affected their emotions. The study says, the thankful group reported fewer physical complaints overall than the hassles group and spent significantly more time exercising than did the subjects in the other 2 groups. So gratitude had the effect of making people take care of themselves better. And in addition to that, they just plain felt better physically as a result of gratitude. It's worth a try, isn't it? Reminds me of a quote by one of my favorite authors, Ellen White. She said, "Nothing tends more to promote health of body and soul than does a spirit of gratitude and praise."